Hi everyone, let's see how we can map catalog items to CWM today. I've created a catalog item named CWM item with three variables that would ask the customer for their needs and whom they are requesting for and the expiry date. Also, I've created a new board in order to map the board to the catalog items. Yeah, let me create a request. As you can see, CWM item is under services. I'll describe the needs. As you can see, a request item has been created for the specific request. Let us refresh the board. So you can see that a catalog item has been, the request item has been mapped to this specific board with the state, start date, end date, and the variables that we have defined. The similar task will be present in Gantt as well as in Kanban. So when we click on the task, we can see all its details as well as additional details. Additional details would contain all the custom columns that we have defined. In our case, it would be requested for reason and expiry. Similarly, we have more tabs for this. Let's say I have changed the state to work in progress and I've updated the task. This would be immediately reflected in the Kanban, as well as if I go back to the request, as you can see the state has been changed to work in progress. Also, if I go to activity and I've commented this comment would be reflected in the request item as well, as you can see. Also, if I go and attach a document related to this, let's say I've selected it would be successfully uploaded, and the same would be reflected in the attachments of the request item as well. Hi everyone, now that we have seen the mapping between catalog item to CWM board, let's see how we have implemented it technically. As a prerequisite, I have created a catalog board and respective custom columns that needs to be mapped. I also have different variables for a request item that would be populated from the catalog item itself as soon as I create a request. So in our case, I created a catalog item CWM item as well as different variables required for that. So firstly, I would like to map this board with that particular catalog item and the predefined fields to the request item fields. As you can see, we have fields like number, request, requested for, due date. So they can be mapped with the task fields. And I need a separate mapping for mapping the variables on the catalog item to these custom columns in the particular board. So for all these requirements, I created separate tables. One is board catalog mappings that would map the board to the specific catalog item. The other one is catalog to task mappings that would map the predefined fields that already exist on the table. In our case, task fields and the request item fields. I also have a separate table mappings that would map the CWM custom columns with the variables that we have on the request item. In our case, the variables are the needs, requested for, and expiry date. Moving on, as soon as I create a request, I want these variables and all these predefined fields to be picked up by the board and create a new task. So in order to do that, I have a separate business rule. What this business rule does is that it picks up the board mapping first, gets the board associated with that particular catalog item, and then it picks up all the custom mappings and predefined mappings and map it accordingly. So once this BR is run, we'll be able to see the task item created in here What the BR also does one more thing. It would associate this task with that particular request item. So I already have a field that would reference the CWM task. So this SID would be stored here. When I click on the task, I would like these changes made to these fields to be reflected immediately in the request item. So in order to achieve that, I have another BR that would get the mappings again, and it would map the fields that we have updated to the respective fields on request item. Similarly, I do have one for activity as well. So what this does is that as soon as I update comments on this particular task, it would be reflected immediately in the request item. For that, I've created a new business rules. This business rule would take care of that. As you can see, we have different tabs like additional details that would show up the custom columns, and also catalog attachments. So in order to achieve this, we have to go to UIB and add new tabs. For that, this would be in board macroponent. So we have side panel tabs. We can add new tabs in here. I've added additional details and catalog attachments. This additional details would have a repeater that would pick up all the custom columns and would return in the format needed by this component. So I've got all the grid columns needed and the tasks needed. I also have catalog attachments in order to reflect the attachments attached to that particular task immediately in the request item. In order to achieve this, I've created a new REST API, which is get CWM get catalog, and the output of that would be the catalog item sysID, and the table will be the requested item. So it would pick up this particular record and it would show all the attachments that we have on that particular request item in that particular tab. We can also hide this catalog attachments based upon our requirement. In our case, I made sure that this would be visible only when the catalog item is associated with the task. We can have attachments over here, and as you can see, the attachments would be reflected in the request item. Yeah, thank you.